here with Shane Told of Silverstein. And Shane, I can't remember how many times I've interviewed you. I didn't count, but I know it's been a lot. It's
Yeah.
great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to be
Celebrating
back.
another album release. Amazing.
Uh-huh.
We're celebrating Pink Moon, part of the double album. How does the song, your new track, Drain the Blood, highlight the band's sound on this album?
Interestingly, Drain the Blood's like a bit of a different kind of song, I think. It's kind of like a bit outside the box, maybe. This record's kind of all over the place, and like I say that in a good way. Like all of our records kind of are, like we're a band capable of doing, everything from like really, really super heavy stuff to really quiet, like acoustic, sometimes even bordering on like folk. Do you have me? It's telling me my connection's been lost.
You're great. If you can still hear
Oh, that's
me.
weird. Yeah, it's like the whole screen went black, but okay. Um, Very weird. Yeah, we've always done a lot of different things. We've worn a lot of hats, and I think Drain the Blood is just another sort of progression of that. You know, yeah, fun song, a little bit different, but yeah, we have a great feature on that one with Rory from Dayseeker as well. So
Did
yeah,
you
it's
did you
been
get a hold
got
of
some
my
heat.
questions? I was gonna ask that next. How did Rory from Dayseeker get involved with you guys?
No, I'm going into this completely blind, just like I don't like to know questions ahead of
I'll take
time.
it easy on you anyway.
No, I really don't like to know. I find if I think about them, I just mess it all up later. Um, well, Rory, has been a good friend of ours for a long time. You know, Dayseeker kind of, a lot of people think of them as sort of like a new band, but they've been at it for a long time, and we did Warp Tour with them back in the day. I mean, Warp Tour, well, that was a long time ago, right? When that was happening.
Yeah.
And I had Rory on my podcast when they were kind of like a, pretty underground band, but it's been just so great to see them finally kind of capture, an audience like they have and really grow and um, you know, like they're really having a really awesome moment right now. So for him to come on the song, I mean, I know he's been a big fan of our band, like he grew up with us and stuff. So it was cool for him, but really cool for us too, just because when we wrote that song and we had that part ready, we we were like, we know what voice needs to go here. It's Rory or it's just gonna be you, Shane. Like it's gonna be me or it's gonna be him. And luckily Rory was stoked to do it and it came out perfect.
Awesome. The song addresses AI, something that is here to stay, whether we like it or not. And I'm sure as a musician, you have pretty personal feelings about it. Where do you feel,
Yeah.
especially as a musician, where to draw the line? Because there's certain things with AI where we don't even know where it is in the background and the things that it touches. But I feel like
Hmm.
the song really addresses it as far as art is concerned. It's definitely a no.
Yeah, I think like for me, anything creative, I'm not really gonna would ever never want to use AI for. Like, I don't think I wanna. I don't think I need it to write songs. I've been writing songs for, well, the band's been writing songs for 25 years, and I've been writing songs even longer than that. So like, I don't really see how one tool can come into play and then all of a sudden like change the workflow that I've had. Um, I do use like ChatGPT and shit for like, it's kind of like a better Google when I'm like, hey, I'm like working on this like circuit board and like what's going on here, and I can take a picture of it, and then chatbot's like, oh well, look, you have this kind of circuit board and this, and I'm like, okay, well that's a lot easier than Googling something and then trying to figure out, oh, this is the kind of like you know um resistor I need, or this is like how the fuses work, or what amps the fuses are, or like, shit like that. But like, that's electronics. That's like very black and white stuff. Art is a whole different thing, and like, I don't think it's right to be using art, AI for art, especially visual art. But with music, it's just seems so lame. Like it's just so lame. And I know we all saw the band, the AI band or whatever. They kind of sound like Kings of Leon. I can't remember what they were called, but they were like, blowing up. And I'm just like, this is so not why we make music, and really not why we listen to music, you know? Um, I don't know. The human element maybe is lost in some ways now. I don't know, but like it's the same with a book. Like I don't want to read a novel that's written by a computer. Like I want to read a novel that's written by a person that's their, you know, accumulation of their life experiences and why they've written a book, or something. And I feel like music is the same way. So as far as I'm concerned, I won't use AI for anything creative. Um, and I think like when it first came out, a lot of us were like, "Oh, let's like, let's like help try to help it, have it like write the next line for lyrics, or like I'm stuck on a line, let's see." And then it always sucks. It's never good, and like I just don't like it. And I think it's I think we as a band now, our church is trying to ignore it as much as possible. Um, and just ourselves and our own, expertise.
And you mentioned you've been writing music for quite a while. Silverstein's been together for 25 years. What do you attribute to your band's longevity?
It's a hard question. I've only really been in one band, like we've and I could say that for most of us. So I think we've always been very like-minded and very driven with like, you know, what we've set out to do. And I think from the beginning, we've we were like, we want to get on the road, we want to play shows. And then as we did that, and then the next goal was, oh, we want to, go global. And then it was like, okay, we want to, you know do a concept album. And there's just all these like steps along the way. We've all really been together, unified in that. And I think it's just been a really great partnership between me and the other guys. And yeah, I mean, we've had a good amount of success too, and that never hurts. Right? Winners never quit, as they say, So I think it's easier when, we're our success has continued and grown. And like, a lot of people that aren't following our band too closely are surprised when they go, "Oh, what do you mean you're like playing the biggest venues you've ever played?" Like, weren't you more popular in 2005? It's like, no, we weren't. We're more popular now than we've ever been, and that's awesome. And that's really does help, keep us all together and having a great time. And it's a great thing.
I've definitely seen Silverstein play very small venues here in the States, in the DC area, to huge stages, and it's definitely amazing to see. How
Yeah.
is Anti-Bloom and Pink Moon an evolution of sound since When Broken is Easily Fixed?
Oh, it's an evolution, all right. I mean, I always say like, we made a lot of albums, and we put out music very consistently since 2003 when the first one came out. And I think, if you were to go from one record to the next, a lot of people were even complaining. They'd be like, "Oh, it's the same. They make the same record every time or whatever." But like once you kind of zoom out and you see, you go from album 1 to album, now we're on, I don't even know. I've kind of lost count. It's like 11, 12, 13 in that range. Then you go, "Oh wow, this band has like, is this even the same band?" But of course, people have been along with us on the journey. They've seen how we've progressed. Um, and I think one thing that has felt really good about our band is we we tend to be trending upwards in terms of getting better. And I think that a lot of our fans are saying that these are our best albums, Anti-Bloom and Pink Moon, and that feels really good. And I mean, I would tend to agree with them. I think that the songs they came out really awesome, and the recordings were great. I felt amazing recording this time. Like sometimes I don't. I go in the studio, I'm in the booth, and it just doesn't come out easy. Sometimes it's like a struggle, and some days you don't feel good or whatever, right? Or you're just like, why does my voice just not sound that good today? And it's like, well, we're here, we're paying for studio time, like we got to make the best of it. And this record, it was like every day was awesome. I like felt great. I sounded good. I got through the takes really fast, and everybody was like, wow, dude, this is like really, really, really awesome. And I mean, we were recording 2 albums, so it's a good thing that I had it, but it's not always the case. And I think when all those little things work well, and it's not like everything's a struggle like some albums we've made in the past, I think you can tell. I think you can hear it. When an artist is having a good time recording, good time making it, you can tell, versus when everything's a grind. You know, it might not be obvious, but there's just a certain aura, I think.
Well, now I need to go back and listen to the whole discography. Speaking of which, how are you going about choosing your set list for the 25 Years of Noise tour when you do have such an extensive discography?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's not getting easier. And well, what we did for the first 2 legs of the tour, we asked the fans. So we figured that was the most democratic way to do it. Having everybody vote. We said, all right, it's 25 years of Noise. We're playing something from every album, at least one song. So we're gonna let you vote on what the songs will be. And that was cool. It was cool to see, what people were picking too. So we did that, and it was great. A lot of the songs were kind of what we expected. Like we figured "Smashed into Pieces," would be the one. But then, we put in a couple deep cuts too, a couple things people weren't expecting, like our song "The End" from "Shipwreck in the Sand," which it's a 16-year-old album, but we've never played that song live. So things like that are fun to do as a band, and our fans don't expect that, and that was pretty cool. And now that we've done 2 legs of this tour and also a leg in Europe, and we went to Australia. Now that we're doing a final US run of this tour, we're gonna switch up the set list again. So no vote this time, but we're bringing in some of our favorites and then keeping some of the ones that were voted. Um, and just trying to improve, but also give our fans that have seen this show already something a little different too. Like we realize, like we're playing New York City and we played New Jersey. A lot of the people are going to be the same. So we don't want to play just a carbon copy show again. So, but we're taking it to some new places as well, where nobody will have seen it, and it's important for it to be what we believe to be the best show that's possible at this time. But picking songs is hard.
I can only imagine with
We
that
had
many
like a three
options.
hour we had a 3 hour call just to change like 4 or 5 of the songs. So, yeah, there's a lot of discussion that goes into this. We do not take this lightly. We make a lot of considerations just so people know. We don't just go, oh, I don't know. Like we're not forgetting about songs. We consider it all.
I'm sure the selection that you want to choose from and the time in which you have to do it are not the same time. So that's probably the crux of the issue.
Well, yeah, and of course, like we're coming off 2 great albums this year, but also it's 25 years of our band. So, we have to play old stuff and new stuff, but not too much new stuff, but we still want to promote the new stuff, and it's a very hard line to walk.
And over the 25 years, you've probably played more venues than I can count as well. Do you prefer outdoor festivals like Warped or more intimate indoor clubs?
Well, I think when you're playing indoor clubs like all winter, and we tend to tour in the winter for some reason. I think we just hate ourselves. Um, but when we do those like headline shows, in like the Northeast or Canada, and it's like, January, February, and it's like totally miserable. I mean, when the spring comes and then we're outside and we're playing, yeah, like a festival like Warped Tour or whatever, that nothing feels better than that. You're like, oh, the sun, wow, I've missed you so. But then once you're like, it's like August or September, and like you've been doing it for 3 months, and you're sunburned, and like all you want to do is like be inside, then it's nice to get back in the clubs again. So I have like a love-hate relationship, I guess, kind of with both of them. So it's really nice to have both. I don't think I could pick just one. They're both really different, like when you think about it, people always, you know, um say like, "Oh, I'm going to this festival, I'm like seeing all these bands or whatever." It's like there's a big difference with seeing a band outside during the day with the bright ass sun than seeing like a band on a stage with like lights and the whole production. Like that's a big difference. So I think for fans too, um, they have a preference also. So
Speaking of preferences, what do you do to stay mentally and physically well when touring? Because it's definitely not as glamorous as people think.
yeah, well, I think over the years, like mentally, it's just I've kind of just gotten used to it. I think like the first couple years, bands will say they paid their dues or whatever. I guess that applies to us, but we slept on a lot of floors or in the van, and we drove ourselves, and we had a van, no trailer, air, heat stuck on. Like, yeah, we did a lot of the like real hardship touring, but like those are also some of my best memories. We had a blast, and going to all these cities for the first time, and you know um seeing the world as in my early 20s was amazing. And then, yeah, and then like after a while, it starts to be harder, right? Harder to be away from home. You miss everything. You miss every special occasion with your family and your friends. Um, and then at some point, I think you just kind of realize that that's just it. That's just who you are. That's just what you do. That's just a part of the sacrifice of being able to, you know, um, be in a band and do it full time. And like, I haven't worked a real job in 24 years or something. So I think that is something that you just mentally learn to cope with and deal with. And now I don't really think about it too much. Like it's definitely hard. I think anyone that tours will tell you this. Like if you're on tour for 6 weeks, it's like the beginning's a little slow, and then the middle goes by super super fast, and then the last like week, 5 days to a week are like the like slowest, longest like grind, because everybody's ready, ready to go home, their own bed, their own shower, um, and I think mentally you just kind of know doing it so much that like you're gonna get through it. You've gotten through it before. Everything's gonna be fine. Um, and like physically, yeah, it's a great question too, because I'm in my 40s now. I kind of thought I would maybe hit like some kind of a wall. Um, like there were no case studies of people that screamed their head out, their heads off for like 20 years, like 200 days a year. Um, no one really did that before, so it's like, yeah, but it's been holding up great. My voice feels good, and I had like a weird neck problem for a couple of years, but now that's gone. So cool, like, and for the most part, I think, there's a lot less like hard drinking late into the night than there used to be. I think we've learned our lesson, and hangovers are worse than they have ever been too. So, I think we take it a little bit more easy, than we used to when we were younger too.
Cheers to that. We
Hey.
do learn to hydrate and rest. With the 25 years of noise tour, what comes next after that? Do you feel pressure to be like, all right, we got to put out new music again, and like the cycle continues, or is it more at a pace that you have control over now?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have control over it. I think that we don't feel like a extreme pressure to, right away, like, okay, we've gotta, bang out another double album or anything. And to be completely transparent, we have not done anything creative. We just released an album like 2 weeks ago or whatever it's been, and I don't think, we need to like put pressure on ourselves right now. So I think we're probably gonna let the end of this year ride out. Next year we have a pretty open schedule right now. I know it will fill in, but right now it's pretty open. And I'm sure we'll spend some time, talking about um what we want to do and writing some songs. And I've already got the creative bug a little bit back. And I was just before I called you, I was like working on a little guitar riff. So there's stuff like nothing serious is being put together yet, and like we don't have like a whole other album or anything, but we'll work on it and we'll have more material at some point. But I think right now, um, we're just celebrating, a quarter century of our band, and a really big year that it's been with both records being released.
Yeah, that's I look, so many I don't I'm certainly no one that knows that kind of math, but the likelihood of bands succeeding from any genre for 25 years is an amazing feat. And I think that's a testament to, your skill and your hard work. So I encourage fans and new fans to check out Pink Moon and Antibloom and check out the new song Drain the Blood that's out now. Thanks so much, Shane from Silverstein. Have a great day.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, we got a lot of songs out now. Drain the Blood, Negative Space, Autopilot, most recently The Fatalist. Those were some all big tunes from Pink Moon, and there's a whole rest of the record to explore too. So yeah, thanks to people for checking it out, and yeah, thanks
Awesome.
for all the love.